Hey guys, welcome back to another Ask the Roofer guest series. We're here again with Loud Nearby. And we talked a lot about what happens inside your house last time, your indoor air quality, and what to watch out for, what to do with that. We spend a lot of time obviously on the top of the house. We never see underneath it.
Right.
You spend a lot of time underneath the house. What kind of stuff do you see going on there? What's going on there that we care about? I live on a crawl space, so
Right.
What's happening under there that I need to know or don't want to know? But
just like you see with roofs, not everybody's looking at the roof every day, nor would they know what they're looking at.
Not for 30 years.
Right. And we go under people's houses. Most people don't crawl under their house. Most crawl spaces, almost 99% of them, are built on dirt floors.
Yep.
Within the dirt, under the footings, there's nothing done to draw any moisture away from or water away from the house. So under the house, we see a lot of very bad vapor barriers. A vapor barrier is plastic that is put down on the ground to keep moisture down so it doesn't affect the wood structure of the house.
Or grow mold or anything.
Right. And when I say very bad, they didn't start out that way.
Yep.
But over time, they start to disintegrate. You've got different vendors coming in and out, your HVAC companies, your plumbers, your exterminators, and
raccoons.
Other critters. And they get moved around.
Yep.
So they're no longer doing what they're supposed to do. So the moisture now is coming up, and it's creating a very humid environment, which your HVAC ducts and your plumbing are all going through. So there's condensation on the outside of them, which is adding to the humidity, and then that adds to any mold growth. When we're under a house, we're looking for why is there mold growth.
Gotcha.
It could be simply because it's high humidity. We live in North Carolina. The house is built on the orange clay that holds water and it never dries out.
Yep.
Or it could be that there's a water intrusion. So if the gutters haven't been cleaned in 20 years, or
your landscaping's pushing water into the basement.
Landscaping's pushing water into the basement.
We had at our house, we're on a well, and so we get all sorts of minerals straight into the lines before it gets filtered out. Right. Well, the feed lines, we had popped little pinhole leaks from just the corrosion from the minerals. Right. We had no idea. I mean, we hadn't lost water pressure, and they weren't huge, but they were just spraying up there on the air duct and on the floor trusses, and we had no idea. I mean, we were doing our annual maintenance inspections and found it. Like, oh, this has been going on for weeks, if not longer.
Right. And like you said, it's the minerals going through, eating the pipes, and you're not going to know. We've had many a time where we get called out because somebody's ice maker line is broken underneath the subfloor. They don't know about it. It's spraying everywhere. Similar situation. Yep. A lot of times we also see that the downspouts need to be extended away from the home.
Oh, yeah.
Most of what we see, quite honestly, are very simple fixes that home can be taken care of by homeowners on a Saturday afternoon with parts they get from Lowe's, like extending downspouts.
Yeah, they don't need you or me to come in and do that.
Right. They may need for us to recognize the problem and tell them how to do it, and then we come in and fix what the problem caused.
Right.
But if there's a water intrusion and it's not due to topography on the outside of the house, or there's something on the inside of the crawl space, then it's most likely has to do with the gutters and the downspouts being extended or something like that. But we see a lot of crawl space issues in this area.
So once that issue is there, the vapor barrier's been bad. They've been getting water drain under the house because they're landscaping or whatever. They fix the source. What does it take to rectify that underneath the house?
It's a great question. Every situation is very different. We basically have two services with added services that will do most likely under a house. One is what we call a full remediation, where we pull every bit of insulation out, and then we go in and we HEPA vacuum floor joists, ductwork.
This is on the
plumbing.
like extreme.
Yeah, and then we go in and we hand clean with an antimicrobial. The other thing, which is a little less intrusive, is just it's a wipe. That means that the mold hasn't gotten up past the insulation line. We don't feel it's in the insulation at all. We can just go and hand wipe from the insulation down.
Nice.
And that's with an antimicrobial. You know, a lot of people feel like the at-home fix is go down there with some bleach, and that's not a good fix, because unfortunately bleach actually feeds the mold. It doesn't. It makes it look pretty for a while, but the water in the bleach feeds the mold, and you'll be calling us back. Why did this happen again?
Why is it back?
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
So, and then the added service is vapor barrier. You know, we'll put a new vapor barrier in, and when we do it, it's full cover, overlapping seams, staked down. We'll even go as far as do a full encapsulation, where you'll never have to worry about it again. We go all the way up to crawl space walls, seal the vents, put a dehumidifier in there.
Yeah. Then it's a temperature controlled space, more or less. Well, not temperature, but
it's a humidity controlled space.
Humidity controlled space.
We'll keep the relative humidity at an acceptable limit, so you won't have the moisture issue. And you know, it tends to stay a little bit more consistent temperature wise.
How much does that affect the house above it, as far as like temperature? Obviously, your health wise, you're not breathing that anymore,
right.
But does it have a big impact on what it takes to control the temperature in your house and all that?
It all depends on what we do.
Let's say you fully encapsulate.
Fully encapsulating, and we're putting insulation back in with a dehumidifier in there. It's not going to change it much. It'll be a little more comfortable because you don't have that humid air coming up.
Right.
But it's not going to change the temperature differentials too much. Now,
but your system won't have to work as hard to do the same thing.
And then if we don't put insulation back and say spray foam the walls, that will probably keep it a little bit more consistent in there, because it's it insulates the whole cavity versus just the top.
Correct. It insulates the cavity instead of the barrier between you and that cavity. Right. Yeah, we see that a lot, and not a lot. We see that in attics, and it's hard because if you go in your attic and spray foam the ceiling of the attic, more or less,
right,
and you have shingles, then you no longer get ventilation on those shingles, and it knocks 5-10 plus years off the life of them.
Right.
But if you have like a slate or a tile or a metal roof or something like that, you know, go crazy. You can spray foam all of that, and then your attic, you can go up in your attic on a 120 degree day and it's 80 degrees in there.
Right.
And that same thing, top down, it affects your house, how much it takes to heat and cool and control that space.
That's right. Yeah, and you know, the dehumidifiers that we put in there, they're set on humidity levels, so they're not running all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they only run when needed.
So when it reaches a certain point, they'll kick on.
Right. And they're all wired on individual circuits, so it's not something you have to worry about tripping something else in the house.
Makes sense. So if I'm a homeowner, obviously I don't want to waste your time and just have you come look at stuff if there's nothing to look at. Can I go under, peek my head into the house, and what should I look for to say, hey, I need to call you to come out and...
Well, again, there's some telltale signs. Number one, you're going to have another vendor come up and say, hey, you know, you got something going on in there, whether it's your pest control guy, your HVAC guy.
Yeah.
Listen to them.
Don't ignore that.
No, don't ignore that. If you're starting to smell something,
mm-hmm,
obviously you can give us a call. We deal with random unknown smells all the time.
I have a child, so...
I know. But then we also, if you're, again, with your HVAC, if you're starting to see condensation on the registers in the house,
gotcha,
or rust, that's a sign that your ductwork's condensating. You've got high moisture levels in there, that it needs to be looked at.
There's a source of that issue.
Right. Now, and we're not going to find something all the time. Now, we can go in any crawl space. I can find mold pretty much in any crawl space. But does that mean it needs to be addressed or it's a huge fix. Not all the time.
Yeah.
No.
Some contractors it is. They'll find something every house they go to.
And some contractors will fix things that aren't there.
Yep, and not fix them right either.
Right.
We've seen that a lot. So the moisture on the register smells. I mean, if I looked under my house, would I be able to see most things, or without crawling the whole thing, you don't really get a good gauge?
You need to crawl the whole thing.
Yeah, which you guys do.
Which we do. We go in and, we don't just stick our head in there and say, "Oh yeah, you've got a problem." And write an invoice out. We crawl the whole thing. We're going to take moisture readings. We take pictures, and we'll usually give you a good, better, best scenario for fixing the problem. Either something that'll, not be temporary, but
it'll mitigate the immediate issue.
Exactly, mitigate the immediate issue, or something as up to a full encapsulation where, 20 years from now it's going to look exactly the same.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate you explaining that to us. I don't know anything about crawl spaces, so I learned a lot. But
my pleasure.
Again, funny smells that you don't know what they are. Crawl space issues. I've seen a good many where you look and there's moisture. I mean, there's water in the crawl space.
Right.
Obviously,
well,
something needs to be addressed there.
One telltale sign too is if you stick your head in the crawl space and you see the insulation starting to come apart, that means you have a moisture issue.
Yeah. So look at that. If you have issues, call Lyle. And I gotta plug roofing somehow.
Well, I have a question for you then.
Great. What is it?
We talk about gutters and downspouts.
Oh yeah.
From your world, what's the best way to approach those?
As far as maintenance?
As far as keeping the water away from the house.
The main issue we see is, half of Charlotte's new construction in the last few years because it's grown so quickly.
Right.
Most contractors put 5-inch gutters, which are the smaller, the minimum.
Right.
But on larger roofs, or the pitch of the roof, or they overhang the shingle too much, a lot of that water can come and just go right over. Or you get a little bit of leaves in the downspout and that water's not going down the downspout.
Right.
It's just pouring over the edge of the gutter, then your gutter's doing absolutely no good. So if you're having gutter issues, putting a 6-inch instead of a 5-inch, it sounds like it's not a whole lot of difference, but in plumbing, you think of 1-inch to a 2-inch pipe. It's a vast difference. The intake is an inch wider, but it's got a lot more cubic inches of capacity, and it goes out further, so water is less likely to bounce out of it when it's coming at a high velocity down the roof. And they don't clog as easy either because there's more room, and the downspouts are larger as well. So where a little bit of stuff will clog up a 5-inch gutter system, it takes twice as much to clog up a 6-inch gutter system. So that would be the first thing to look at. Where the downspouts land is the next thing, because like you said, if they're landing and you got a pond of water right there against the side of your house, it's not doing what you want it to do. A lot of times putting some black pipe on it and getting it another 6-7 feet away from the house, to where it's not washing your mulch out and everything.
Right.
Or in some cases getting it far away down the hill. We'll extend, typically if it gets into long runs of, hey, we want to take this across the yard, we'll refer it to a landscaping company that's their field of expertise is drainage, it's not ours. But yeah, like you said, extending it, making sure they stay cleaned out is huge too.
It's huge.
Because if your downspout is clogged, then again, your gutter's useless because that water fills up and just comes over the edge of the gutter. Then it gets in your fascia, it's right in your fascia out. It gets in the soffit right there where the air comes in for your attic. So if you start growing mold there, that air coming in just takes those spores all the way up. And
that's right.
You have a huge issue before you know it. So
another question I have. Can I ask another one?
Yeah.
Okay. We see a lot of times throughout this area, above the front door on the roof, there seems to be always like a gable
Yep.
right? And then the roof comes down into a valley. And then at the front door stoop, there seems to be, it's got the stoop, which is next to the foundation.
Yep.
That's a lot of times where if we have a water intrusion, it's going to be right there. What can we do besides digging out in the crawl space and running drainage pipe? From a roofing standpoint, is there any way to avoid all that?
Get a better architect. We see that a lot of times.
Yeah.
And on either side of that gable, you have what we call dead valleys.
Right.
Where a slope comes into a wall, and you just end up with these areas that hold organics, that hold leaves and stuff, and then they turn to mulch, and then the water backs up and it dams up everything. Water gets in your house, starts mold. Again, your easiest fix is make sure you have the right size gutter and you maintain them. Maintenance will solve 90% of the repair issues that we see, because you're keeping everything in good working order prevents the issue.
Right.
Just like changing the oil in your car.
That's right. Yeah.
If you go 20,000 miles and never change the oil, you're like, why is my engine worn out? Well, if you just change the oil, $30 a pop,
Right.
You wouldn't have this $5,000 repair bill.
Right.
So it's keeping it clean and functioning properly, your gutters and all that. Depending on the house's shape, we'll do either kick out flashing or diverters if you have an area that's got a lot more water volume getting pushed into a smaller area, and it helps alleviate the system that's there.
Right.
Distribute that volume of water a little bit more evenly. But yeah, maintenance is the big thing, keeping that functioning properly. If it was built right to begin with, you shouldn't have an issue as long as you maintain it. So,
Right.
well, cool. I appreciate
Good.
you being with us.
Thanks
again.
for having me again.
We'll have to talk again soon.
Yeah.
About something. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about what we talked about, feel free to leave it in the comments, or just reach out to Lyle or myself directly through Facebook or through our business information in the post.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching another episode of our Ask the Roofer video series. If you like the content, please like, share, or subscribe here on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, whichever way you prefer to see it. And if you have questions, we'd love to get your input, see what you want to learn about, and do our best to help explain those things to you.